Okay, today we're looking at a 2000 Infiniti Q45 sedan. This is a Nissan product, and what's going on with this car is it's throwing a persistent P0400 OBD code, and what P0400 indicates is that the ECM has noticed that the EGR system is malfunctioning, and specifically it says that is low or no EGR flow. EGR stands for exhaust gas recirculation. It's just an emissions control device. On these, it's all tied into the ECM. The ECM controls its operation, and it knows when it's working right, knows when it's not working right. It knows who's been naughty and who's been nice. So evidently something's going wrong with this car to throw that code, and this is a pretty common issue with older Japanese cars like Nissans, Hondas, Toyotas, and other makes and models, Mazda. I've had a few different vehicles that had this issue. I had one of these before this that did the same thing. So what causes this? Well, normally every time I try to make a video, there's something goes on. Sorry. But anyway, let me out. Where were we? What goes on normally is that this is either the ports in the intake plenum tend to get clogged up if the vehicle is burning some oil, consuming oil, and those ports are pretty small, and the way it's designed is they can get clogged up with carbon deposits. So that's the worst case, because you have to take the intake plenum off, which is, you can find out where that's at in your particular vehicle. Or there's a problem with the control system, which is a vacuum or electrical line problem, connection problem, vacuum problem. We've got some vacuum lines running to them. So either or, that's generally the two causes of that issue. Now, a lot of people tend to throw parts at it. They won't bother researching the problem or checking it further, and they just tend to assume that the EGR valve is bad, and then in most cases the EGR valve is not bad. The EGR valve is not dirty. So this one, I've peeked around in here already, and I found out what's wrong with this one. So let's go ahead and get that cover off up here and take a look and see what we found. And so I wanted to show you what I discovered on this. I have the engine cover off. It's over there. Normally you'd be covered with an engine. Dadgum. Hack it up over there. You'd be covered with an engine cover. You need to remove that. There's just a series of bolts around the top of it and one nut right back there on that stud right there. Take that off, and anyway, this is your EGR valve back here on the back, and essentially what an EGR valve does, it's called exhaust gas recirculation, and its job is to reintroduce a measured amount of exhaust gases into the intake stream, and that serves to help control emissions and help the cylinders run a little bit cooler. People that have older cars absolutely hate these things because they perceive that they reduce performance, and that may be the case, but in this case we have to have that because this car is totally electronically controlled and managed. So anytime that the onboard diagnostic system, the computer, determines that it does not have enough flow or no flow, you're going to get a code. So we got a code, and I was back here looking at this, and I've ashamed myself partially because I've already looked at this once and I didn't catch this, but I got in here poking around. I was doing something else. I found some other problem too. I'll show you in a second. So I was poking around, and I've just had a whoa moment here. Let me show you what I found. If you come all the way back around here and you look at the bottom of this EGR valve, there's a tube that comes from the other side of there. There's a metal tube. See that bright shiny tube there that comes out of the bottom? It's kind of hidden, that thin one. It comes around this is like this device here is like a sort of a pressure transducer type of a arrangement. I'll be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure what it does, but it gets fed exhaust, I believe it's exhaust gases or vacuum or something. Who knows? It gets fed something anyway. It gets fed through a tube right there. And if you can see right there, let me focus in there, see if I can see that right there. See that tube that's got a split? That tube's broke all the way in half. It's just a rubber piece of line. And that's a common thing on these, and I didn't catch that the first time, but sure enough, it's broken. So that will shut off the flow of EGR. That's probably a vacuum line then. That'll shut off the flow of EGR, because now that I think about it, I think what that does is you have the EGR valve here, and this is the source of exhaust to the EGR valve, this big steel tube that comes up from below. That's the exhaust supply, as it may be. And then right there where it mounts to the intake plenum, that's where it introduces its EGR flow into the intake. So what I guess happens is this, somehow, some way, this thing is supposed to get a vacuum signal, so it ain't going to. That thing broke like that, so I'll have to repair that, and hopefully that will get rid of. I had two codes, P0400 and a P0325, which P0325 is NOx sensors on one side, and NOx sensors are known to fail on these, and they're buried under the intake right there. You have to take all this off, which I had that happen on the other car too, but it had both of them bad, and I'm not going to do that anytime soon. It's just a phantom code, which means, or a silent code, which means that it's there, but it won't turn the check engine light on, and it's just something to keep in mind. If you want to fix it, you can. If not, don't worry about it. So I'm going to do that, and hopefully that will eliminate the P0400, and hopefully, with any luck, it'll eliminate the other code, the P0325, because they say that those things can be, one follows the other for whatever reason. So, well, let me show you what else is going on. This thing here, this is it goes right here on the throttle body, and it's just like a spacer type of a thing. And then you have the tube that comes up here, so it clamps over it. Well, I took this off, and lo and behold, it's in pretty rough shape. You see here on the bottom side, where it's not visible from the top, obviously, it's got a couple big cracks and splits, and looks like it might have even been the clamp not on it all the way. So, not saying that could be anything to do with anything, but it seemed like I'd noticed that. I think I had this thing off once already. I was changing the air filter, I guess, or I know what it was. I had to change this box. The box was broken. So I picked one up from the junkyard, and it's not great. It's got a few splits in it, but where it counts, it's in good shape. So I'm going to pop that jewel on there and go with that. Yep, like that. So it gives us a nice good seal. And then put all this back together. This assembly here, this thing's pretty cramped in there. You have to be careful putting it back in, because you get something not clamped on all the way or anything like that. So okay, then, just a little update for you. I thought I'd do. I don't normally do much work on these cars, but so I'm going to get busy. Got to go out of town today for a little while, do a little work again. Boy, the haters are on me, aren't they? I've been battling them. You know, I'll just say this. I don't mind anybody having a difference of opinion with me. That's fine. That's what our country is based on. But I'm just going to give you a heads up. When you come on the channel and you disagree with me, but you don't have the emotional makeup to state your disagreement in a mature way, that means without cursing me or cursing somebody else or calling people names. If you're not above that, then you don't belong on my channel, and you're not going to be on my channel. I'll remove your ass, because You know, I cuss a little bit, but I don't cuss other people. That's the rule. So don't come do it to me. Don't come do it to other people. If you do, you're out of here. It's that simple, because I can do that. So otherwise, hope everybody enjoys. Have a good day. See ya. Okay then, just to show you what I did to fix this broken vacuum line or exhaust transfer line, whatever you want to call this, on this, I guess this is a transducer back here. I took there's two 8mm bolts on the top that hold this thing in, so I just took this holder, and so I took those out, and just I could slide this over. And I got the old hose removed, and it was not easy to do because it's deteriorated and it had locked on there, and more or less I got the top one pulled off okay, but the bottom one I had to essentially cut it. Oops. Cut it off. So you got to be careful doing that because there's additional vacuum lines and things like that in there. So I just went into my hose box. I keep all my pieces of hose in, and I found some 1/4 inch hose there, which is the same size as what was on it, made in USA as a matter of fact, and cut the approximate length I needed. And so it went right on easily, so I'm going to put this back together, slip the top into place, and that will hopefully resolve this issue. So just be kind of careful with it. If you have to get in there, don't butcher something up you don't need to. That's how you do it. So if you have a P0400 on one of these, it's persistent, look at that first, because I looked at it the first time and missed it, but the second time around I found it. So have a good one. See ya.